This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is Friday, which means we won't have shows over the weekend, but we'll be back on Monday.
Yeah.
And that means we probably have 6 more Steeler rumors by the time we get back on Monday.
Probably. But hey, it's the way it works. That's kind of how the whole league's dealing with at this point, too. You know?
Yeah,
there's some
absolutely.
quarterback movement. I kind of identified like 6 teams that really are in the quarterback market, and I'm not sure there's 6 starters to go around.
So I was listening today to Sirius NFL on my way in here today, and they identified, obviously, everybody knows these 6 teams.
Yeah.
That don't have a quarterback right now. And he said there could be 4 more that might be in the market. Mentioned the Rams, if they move Stafford.
Right.
Mentioned the Seahawks if they do something with Geno Smith. Teams like that could potentially
open. Yeah. The way I phrased it today on a podcast,
Derek Carr was another one.
There's like 6 empty seats today, but if Stafford hypothetically went to the Jets, there's still 6.
Right.
They're just a different
it's just
seat.
a different. You just shuffled the chairs. Since you brought up Stafford, CBSSports.com put together 3 teams that could trade for Stafford and put packages together for Stafford.
Okay.
What they think it might take.
Okay.
And so
I'd be curious about
one
that.
of these packages is not like the others. So I'm gonna read.
First off, of the 6 teams, the Steelers are really the only contender, or the ones that are at least expected to be 500 or better. I would think
he put the Steelers.
Okay, they're one of the 3.
They're one of the 3. The Vikings. I don't see that happening.
O'Connell worked with them. Darnold
He
leaves.
just drafted one in the first round.
I know. I mean, and plus they have so many other needs, and they don't have any
They don't have any
picks.
draft
They don't
picks.
have any picks, right?
And the Giants were the other one.
Okay, I would put the Jets instead of the Giants. I wouldn't do this if I was New York Jets, but I could at least make the argument. Sauce is in his prime. Wilson's in his prime. If I get 2 years or 3 years of Stafford, I could be in the market.
Make that argument about the Giants to a degree too.
Their roster's not as terrible as people think.
The defense is pretty good.
They have a line.
They can rush the passer. You got a great young receiver.
Yeah. Their O-line's not as hideous as it looks either.
Yeah.
With Thomas comes back.
Yeah.
Right.
So I could make that. They might be in better shape than the Jets.
Yes, and they're in win now mode.
Yeah.
They
need to win games.
Yeah,
That coaching staff needs to win or they're done.
Yeah. No, I think they're maybe the most likely landing spot if he were to move.
Yeah. So here's the trade package that they put together for the Steelers.
Okay.
The Rams get the number 21 overall pick in the draft.
Okay, I'm listening. I don't love that, but I'm listening.
2025 second-round pick, the 52. A conditional 2026 second-round pick that can become a first if Stafford plays 65% of the snaps in 2015.
I think I'm out now unless you're sending me a lot of other stuff.
The Steelers get Stafford and the 26th pick in this year's draft.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not as bad.
It's still far less than what these packages are.
I said, could you also get Cooper Kupp in there?
I better.
Kupp's not, right. I think Kupp's not that expensive.
The Vikings package, they would trade their 2025 first round pick, number 24 overall, and that's it.
That doesn't make any sense.
The Giants would trade their 2025 second round pick, which is 34th overall, and a 2026 second round pick.
Why do the Steelers have to pay so much more?
That was my thought.
Right. I was saying,
what are we doing here?
The Giants pick isn't super high.
No.
Right.
It's a second round pick.
Yeah, that makes
Why
no
are the
sense.
Steelers giving up 2 potential first round draft picks?
Yeah. I mean, that move down the first round doesn't break my heart.
No, that's
only 5 picks,
yeah.
Whatever. But I don't know that it's necessary on that situation.
Like in reality, okay, if you're telling me I'm going to give up, we're going to swap picks in the first round. I'm going to give you my second this year. And I understand that my second this year is lower than what the Giants would be giving up.
Substantially,
in this
right.
In this scenario. It's also
15 picks or whatever.
It's also lower than what the Vikings would be giving up.
Yes.
But we're also swapping spots in the first round. Like you're moving up 5 spots. That's
worth a third
something.
at least.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
So don't then tell me that I need to also throw in a second round pick next year that could become a first.
And I plan on playing him more than 60% of the snaps unless he gets hurt. He's going to hit it.
That's
right.
why you make the trade, because that's the idea.
And I say that's way too much. I mean,
like if it were
even if you threw in Cup, I'd say no.
We'll throw in a 4 that could become a 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm giving up a 2 and a 3 basically for Stafford. Okay.
That's reasonable. I think that's what he's worth.
Yeah. Not 2 firsts.
No. And why are they charging an extra Steeler tax? I would think he'd also be more interested to play in here than
that's kind of what
New York.
It is. Yeah.
Right.
And you might want to do him a solid. Like, where do you want to go?
Yeah. I don't know if he has a no trade or what, but I bet he has some say in it. I mean, most quarterbacks that age with that kind of background.
You want us a Super Bowl, we're going to send you where you want to go. We're not going to send you to football. We're not going to send you to the Browns.
If you
decide purgatory.
This isn't Steeler related, but it just kind of dawned on me when you mentioned the Vikings. If you decided he has to go, he's leaving L.A., which maybe he is, I don't know. Who says no to McCarthy for Stafford?
Well, the Rams will have to like him.
I'd say I'm assuming
I don't know what they're
because they don't have any kind of plan, unless they know that they can sign Darnold or whatever.
Yeah,
and I don't think they want to win 3 games this year.
I don't think they'd be in on that either.
I mean, they almost beat the Eagles in the postseason.
Right.
I don't know. I can't imagine them going to Minnesota though. I think that's McCarthy's team. Yeah,
that's pie in the sky kind of thing. Yeah.
But I think the Jets could be sort of in the mix. Yeah.
It just struck me as I was reading that because
why does one team have to pay way more than the other?
Why are the Steelers giving up way more than the other teams?
Yeah, I mean, if you whipped out the Jimmy Johnson draft chart or whatever, one team's giving up 1,000 points, one's giving up 400.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Just because they're also giving up you're swapping first-round picks this year. That doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. What would you give up for Stafford and Kupp? I don't think Kupp's worth a ton.
No,
but I would love to bring them in together.
Realistically, Kupp's worth like a 5th or 6th round draft.
Me too. I mean, because that's 2 contracts you got to take on too.
Right. You got to pay the cash.
Would you give up 21 for those 2? That might be my breaking point. Like in negotiations, they always say both sides should be unhappy when it ends.
Yeah.
I'd be a little unhappy, but that would be like the most I would pay.
If this were a situation where Stafford were 34 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'm going to get 3 or 4 more years out of him.
I might give up 2 firsts for that.
Yeah. But for a guy who's 37, who has been injured, who has been contemplating retirement, I'm not interested in giving up my first round pick and more necessarily.
I know.
He could come out next year and play this year and say, okay, I'm done, I'm good.
Right.
You gave up a first round pick and more.
Right. I mean, you can't hold an athlete to it, but I think Mike Tomlin and Stafford would have to have a conversation. What's your plan here? I understand if you blow out your Achilles or something bad happens.
Because that would be the thing with Kupp as well.
Right.
It's basically a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
Now
that's all I'm looking for from Kupp, though.
Somebody on the message board, on our YouTube message board, did bring up an interesting point, and we've kind of talked about it, but we haven't brought it out specifically. And they brought up the point that some of the draft analysts are saying this isn't a super talented draft class.
I wanted to go down that road, yeah.
And it isn't because you don't have that top 10 talent wouldn't be top 10 in most years.
Agreed.
So are you better off trading picks for veteran guys?
More so than other
years because the draft isn't quite as deep or talented.
All right, let's explore that because it's funny. I had this conversation like an hour ago on a podcast, and the more and more, and actually what we did is we went through my mock that we're going to do, and just kind of talked about the draft overall. First time I did a mock, blah, blah, blah. And I've definitely come to the conclusion that this draft lacks blue chip dudes.
Yeah.
I think the best 2 players in the draft. I think
it's as deep as some of the other drafts in recent years.
I think it might be deeper. The more homework I like.
Yeah. But there's just not those blue chip, this guy's got a surefire hit that I'm taking him in the top 10 in any year.
Like in my mock, spoiler, not that anyone cares, I had Pierce, the edge rusher from Tennessee, going to the Lions at 28 or whatever they pick, late in the first round. And my co-host had a really good point. He's like, you have the Georgia dude going 8, and you have Pierce going 28. If I swap them, I could still believe that.
I had Pierce in the same the mock draft that we did. I have him going in, I think, top 12.
Yeah, I can see him go to Atlanta. I think they picked 12 or 13
it's
or something like that.
It's all going to depend on what you like. And, we always say, in every draft, you typically have 12 to 15 blue chip players.
Mm-hmm.
Players who any team would take regardless of position.
Pretty much any year they're going to be a first-round pick.
It might be 5 this year.
Yeah.
And then you throw a blanket over the next 60 guys.
He actually had a good point, which I agree with, is he's like, this quarterback class reminds me of the whole draft as a whole. He's like, I really like the day 2 quarterbacks, but the top ones, they're probably going to be overdrafted by necessity because when you're picking 5, you have to pick someone at number 5, whether you like them or not.
I saw some of the comps
There's
today.
no tackles,
I can't remember where I saw it, but it might have been on the 33rd team. And they have comps for the top quarterbacks, pro comps for the top quarterbacks in this draft. Like Cam Ward is Sam Darnold.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to take him on number 1 overall. Which Sam Darnold am I getting?
Yeah, I bet Shador is probably like Tua.
I think they had a shorter version of. I can remember now.
I mean, he's a good passer, but he's more of a pocket guy.
I can't remember the exact comp, but it wasn't Tua. It was somebody else, and I'm like,
but didn't blow your doors off.
No,
it wasn't Allen or Mahomes.
No,
sure.
It wasn't.
Right,
wasn't one of those guys.
Yeah. I totally get it. Like. Again, though, I do like the depth. I mean, you could convince me to trade 21 in this draft. I mean, especially if I happen to pick up a 3rd next year or something, or, especially
or
in
even another
world.
3rd this year that I can use.
Yeah. I'll take all the day 2 picks I can get, though. I like day 2 in the depth more than I have other drafts. And I think we're done with a lot of the COVID stuff. Some of the dudes that stayed 6 years are now coming out. They're not just staying the extra year. I think there's more good players in this draft, but round 1 in general to me is not great, and the top 10's pretty bad, really. Like even if Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft, you could convince me of that. He's not Bosa or Garrett coming out. I mean, he wouldn't be the best D end most years, I don't think. Or
I think he's comparable to Hutchinson.
Yeah, or Walker that year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. Garrett to me was like the best one we've seen. That goes first overall, or Bosa coming out of Ohio State. I don't look at him in that light.
No, I think he's good. I think he's one of those 5 players that would be a blue chipper any year.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I definitely think that him and Hunter are blue chippers. Top 5 guys most years. I just don't know if they're special.
Yeah,
but then after that, it kind of falls off. Like, who's next?
But I would be in line with trading some of those, later on, some of those day 3 picks and things of that nature for veteran players who can help you now, because I don't think necessarily that those guys are A, going to help you a ton right away, and B, it helps your comp picks because you're going to lose guys, and that's the Steelers have some guys. If we went through that top 100 free agent players list, if they don't go crazy in free agency,
it's going to yield picks.
They're going to get picks out of this next year.
Yeah, we'll be real happy when we're doing mocks 1 year from now with extra
when you
third
might be in the
something.
market to go move up and get a quarterback, and you might need that extra ammunition.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose 2 starting offensive line contracts. You're going to lose, to some degree, a starting quarterback contract. I mean, these are big money positions, and probably Najee. I mean, that's not as a monster deal, probably, but it could be 10.
If somebody signs Dante Jackson, he probably gets signed. Those guys are going to make money
somewhere, right? Yeah, they're positions that make money, which is how the comp game works.
So, if that's the case, you want Dan Moore, for example, to go out and sign a $12 million a year contract.
Can't believe the Patriots gave him all that money. Great,
fantastic,
exactly what you want, right?
3 years, $40 million for Dan Moore,
right?
There we go,
right. No, I think you're right too. That. Not to mention, the thing I was going to say about what you're saying, like trading picks for veterans, more so than I can remember, and we've talked about this 1,000 times this year, there's awful franchises right now that should just want picks. If you make a deal with the Browns, the Saints, the the Titans, all the way down.
That have serious cap issues, that need to shed some contracts.
Right. We have some cap space. You just need all the picks you could possibly get because you stink and you have no cap space. I think there's teams out there that might trade guys that you don't think about.
Yeah, and folks, the Steelers are not one of those teams.
No.
Regardless of what you might think, they are not an awful team. They're not the worst team in the league. They're not this, the worst that, the worst at anything.
I mean, frankly, like if T.J. Watt was a Saint, I'd call them right now and be like, they just don't have anybody to give up. That's why they're in such a bad shape.
Everybody on their roster, we talked about at the end of yesterday's show, costs them money to give up.
Except for Olave.
Yeah.
And that's not that much relief,
Yeah.
Right. So.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, recently Bill Cowher, former Steelers head coach, was on the Dan Patrick Show and said he is not a fan of the tush push, of aiding runners in that situation.
I agree with him.
So do I.
Yeah.
Got me thinking, if you were the grand poobah of football and you can't create a minor league.
That's my first move, man, right.
Because we've done this before and that's been your move. I want something fresh here that you get whatever you want to do with the game to tweak the game. Not that. Because essentially right now college football is a minor league for the NFL.
And since we've had those conversations
paid.
too, I mean, the practice squads are bigger now too, and I mean, which would have been one of my things back then too. Is I always thought practice squads were way too small.
It's one of the reasons why this year, in particular, the draft isn't as deep as it would have been.
Oh, 100%.
There were guys that, like the three Penn State guys that decided to stay, the quarterback and two running backs. I'm not a fan of the quarterback.
But still, he'd have been reasonably high pick, right?
And both running backs would have been highly picked, but they stayed in college because they can.
Because they can, right?
Paid.
It's a good deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like someone was talking about Ewers, the Texas quarterback that came out. They said he's been a millionaire for like 3 years.
Right.
When he was 18, he was a millionaire. That's not bad.
Pretty good gig, yeah.
Super recruit going to Ohio State. But real quick, back to the practice squad thing, though. Like, it always made me crazy. Like, that's one of the best things that came out of COVID. Because, frankly, it only costs a team a couple grand a week to keep an extra running back on your practice squad or whatever. I mean, and you got to give them cleats and pads and stuff, of course.
You got to find them spots in your locker room, which I can tell you from experience, the Steelers' locker room was
a little crowded
was
pretty
not
quick.
Built for it to have 70 guys in it year round.
Yeah, there are some of those things, too. You got to feed them and whatever. But still, I don't have a ton. I mean, we could talk tush push.
I don't think it should be in the game.
I don't either, because there used to be a rule that you can't
aid the runner,
and I don't know why it disappeared. And I don't remember when it left, but I'm shocked more quarterbacks and more people don't get hurt. Because if I'm getting pushed from behind by an athlete, I feel like I lose a lot of my control and ability to defend myself as the ball carrier.
It's not even so much that part of it, but it's also, you see it all the time where there's a running back is stood up. And all of a sudden, all the linemen come in, rushing in from behind him, and they start pushing, and it becomes a rugby scrum. And all of a sudden, he gets 4 more yards. Well, how is that not dangerous?
I was going to say, I can't believe more people haven't gotten hurt.
The whole reason that it was a rule that you couldn't aid the runners because you had linemen coming in and just blasting the pile from behind.
And they could take cheap shots at defensive players that way, too. Yeah. I just don't think it's entertaining either.
It's not.
It really isn't.
And there are times, I think back to the game, Steelers-Chiefs, when they blew the whistle early on Pickens on the catch along the sidelines where the second tackler comes in, knocks the original tackler off of him, and he goes running down the sidelines. Well, they blew the whistle.
Yeah.
How come? Why is that dead? But when the running back gets stood up after a 5-yard gain, we can let that run out, and they can gain 10 more yards because nobody can stop it because everybody's pushing.
Super strong 300-pounders are just dragging this dude along. No, I don't think aiding a running or a ball carrier in any way should be okay. I mean, that would be the simple rule. If you aid the ball carrier, I mean, you could still sneak.
Yeah,
you just can't have somebody push from behind.
Right.
I mean. That would be a quick one.
It's not entertaining.
It's not entertaining, and it's not because the Eagles are good at it, folks. I mean, I've brought this up before, and they were like, "Your team just isn't good at it." It's all Eagles fans saying because they don't want to lose it. Which, hey, if you're great at it, I use it all you want.
You're telling me Jalen Hurts couldn't get into the end zone without being pushed in?
Right, behind Kelsey and that line or whatever too. Another one I know
like 700 pounds. He can't force his way into the end zone.
One that we've brought up that I would definitely change, and I think might get changed this offseason, is I would throw a flag on a quarterback that pretends to be going out of bounds or slide, give himself up.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that is a personal foul. I mean, that is unsportsmanlike conduct. You could call it whatever you want. Just call it unsportsmanlike conduct. But
or for example, the Mahomes thing where he does get pushed out of bounds along the sidelines, and it's close, but he was certainly in bounds, and he throws his arms in the air like he's been shot.
There could be an embellishment foul.
Yeah.
Isn't there one in basketball
There's one
or something?
I think
there's in hockey
you can't,
too.
fake a charge and all that stuff. You can't do it.
But don't pretend like you're going to slide or slow up like you're going out of bounds because you're a quarterback and you have an advantage. That's 15 yards the other way to me. There's probably others, but those ones
What drives me crazy, and this is more of a network thing as well, is when you see egregious things like that. Like I think it was Mahomes in the playoffs. He slides. The two defenders come flying over top of him, hit each other.
Yeah.
One of them grazes Mahomes, barely. Mm-hmm. And the flag comes out. And then the next day you get whoever it was, for whatever network it was, defending that call.
Yeah. Come on. Let's let these guys be football players a little bit.
Yeah.
In that case, right.
I mean,
Mahomes can take a hit. He's got a helmet on. He's got pads on. Right. And he's out there. He's fair game.
If we're going to protect the quarterbacks, I get it. Mm-hmm. But they can't get extra protection, and it can't be, well, he breathed on him.
Right.
Because then you see other things, and I'm going to bring Mahomes up again, where he gets basically punched in the face in the Super Bowl.
Totally missed.
And they don't call anything. Or you see the who was it that had the I think was it Darnold? I think it was Darnold. The face mask is grabbed in the pocket, and
in the playoffs, or it might have been the Lions game.
It was in regular season, the first Lions game.
Yeah,
and that's if we're going to use instant replay for
that stuff right.
I'm all in favor of the eye in the sky.
Yeah, me too.
Quickly though, it can't be. It's got to be something that you guys missed that.
Yeah, I think they made progress with that. I know some people chime in that boy, there's still too many replays, blah, blah, blah. I get it, but they get a lot of calls right just from New York or whatever, and they say you got it wrong. They don't tell the fans and the people
they should.
And I say that's a problem
there should be
too.
more transparency with that. Like you see them spot the ball, and then all of a sudden they'll walk up to the line of scrimmage and move it back or move it forward,
and everyone's like,
half
why?
a yard, and it's like that changes your play.
Yeah,
like you gotta let us know.
Romo and Nance are like, I don't know why they did that, but they did, and you guys are in the media box and don't know the answer to that.
It changes. Like
sometimes the coaches don't know.
This thing was a 3-yard gain. Well, now you've moved it back 8 inches, and now it's a 2-yard gain. Mm-hmm. And I've already written this down. What are we doing here?
Or my play call on 3rd and 1's different than it would be on 3rd and 3 or whatever too.
A little transparency, a little bit of some way to speed up that process.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the new kickoff rule. I don't know if it accomplished what they wanted.
Well, concussions were down, I believe,
I know they were.
To an all-time low. The injuries on kickoffs were down specifically, and there were 7 more touchdown returns. There were 7 touchdown returns this year. There were 2 years ago.
Yeah, but where I don't like it is I don't want to have to announce them hitting an onside kick. I like the idea of the surprise.
How would you do it, though?
You just – oh, yeah.
That's why you have to announce it, because everybody is down the field.
Right, because the formation's different. Yeah. Is there some answer for that? I don't know. Because there's no chance of getting them.
I think you should be able to onside kick whenever you want.
Me too. But I guess you'd have to
announce it. There's no such thing as a surprise onside kick.
Yeah, and you couldn't kick it away.
Like if I'm trailing it, early in the second half, and I want to do an onside kick, I'm down 24-0 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm like I got to.
And you scored the Chiefs, I believe, scored at the end, right before the end of the 3rd quarter.
Okay.
They couldn't go for an onside kick because it wasn't the fourth quarter yet.
Yeah, that was an issue.
So
right. The Steelers surprise onside kick in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some tactic to it. Or some teams are better.
But you've taken.
I don't know how to. Yeah. I guess I don't know how the answer would be without basically announcing it, because you have to get in a certain formation now. The old formation. But I kind of miss the onside kick.
Yeah.
Because when they do it now, no one ever gets it. I mean,
I think there were like 3 this year.
I think
2 of them were against the Ravens.
I think so too. But at least back in the day when you could surprise, they might be turning the other way. They're just fast to leave. But I guess that's going to have to go, because I don't mind the new kickoff rules, and it did bear fruit.
Yeah, I mean, you got used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was what it was, and a lot of teams just still kick the ball out of the end zone. But that's going to happen.
But if concussions are down, good.
Yeah, that was the intended purpose, and to get more kickoff returns. Well, that part of it did work.
Those 2 things happen. So if I guess we have to lose onside kicks because of it. I'm fine with it, I guess.
Yeah. trying to think if there's anything else that I would change about the game. I'm not a fan of the spot foul and automatic. First of all, I'm not a fan of an automatic first down for defensive holding.
I'm not either.
I think it's a bailout play.
Yeah.
I also think that I'm not a fan of the automatic spot foul for pass interference. 40 yards down the field. I think it's
too big.
It's too big. I think it should be limited. I think you should get 10 yards if it's within 20 yards of the line of scrimmage.
I don't love how college does it though either.
No, but if it's beyond that, I could see half the distance or something like if it's 60 yards down the field, you get 20 yards. I can't give you 60 yards in penalties. So, it drives me nuts. And you see, the one that really drives me nuts. You see, it's like third and 22 in the defense.
The Ravens used to do this forever.
And the defense gets called for a ticky-tack defensive holding penalty. It's like,
yeah.
And they get an automatic first down.
I'm 100% with you on that one. I don't know what the move is on DPI though. I
can remember talking with Rob Woodson about this years ago, like when I first started covering the team, and he's like, yeah, because it has to be a spot foul, because if I know that it's not a spot foul and I'm beating down the field, I'm just going to grab the guy.
That's what I'm saying. Randy Moss runs by me. I'm like, I'm not catching him. I'm tackling him now, because if it's only 15 yards, that's better than an 80-yard touchdown over my head. But I don't love – the Ravens seem to do it all the time with Torrey Smith, although I'm sure they're not the only team. But we're in trouble. We're just going to chuck it down the sideline, try to draw a DPI. Yeah. I mean, I don't love that part of it, but – I don't want an 80-yard bomb that I earned turned into a 15-yard foul either. But I'm with you on the holds for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what the fix is for DPI. If you're going to call that, I do want to see more calls than against the offense on that side of it. Like I'm okay with hand fighting down the field.
Sure, but way more than 50% go to defense.
Right.
Yeah.
And people were upset about the call early in the Super Bowl on A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that because
a shot to the head.
He stuck his hand in the cornerback's face mask and turned his face.
The announcers didn't stress that enough.
If that was the defensive player that did that,
right,
that flag's coming out every time.
Right. Or if it's on his shoulder, it isn't.
Right.
I mean, the fact that he drilled the guy in the face.
You hit him in the face.
Yeah.
Like that's
I never
automatic.
Either. Two that I don't love is I still think there's too many illegal men downfield. Maybe I'd just be more lenient or give them one more yard. And I also don't love teams, another O-line one, which I know you're going to agree with me. The flying V formation is too much.
Call it. It's got to be called.
It's got to be called, right. I mean, you can't give the tackles that much of an advantage off the ball.
No,
too much.
I agree wholeheartedly on that one. And you can't allow these tackles to false start. I don't care if it's within a quarter of a second. He false started.
He left early.
Early. Call it.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you got the eye in the sky, boom.
Mm-hmm.
He left early.
And I do think the reason for it, they're aware of it, of course, is I always go back to D-line are better than O-line. And if they're going to give these guys a little advantage trying to block the Watson, Garretts, and Bosas, I know why they're doing it.
But there are certain guys.
We all see that you're cheating.
Yeah, there are certain guys that do it all the time. It's not an accident.
Absolutely. And some of them just align nowhere near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
As an offensive line.
Well, I'll do it until I get called. And then I'll inch back up a little bit. Now I know what I can get.
They need to be a little stricter on that because everyone on the planet's watching sees it. Like we know you're cheating.
Yeah. I agree with that one 100%. One thing that we don't see called a lot, and if they're going to penalize guys for it after the fact, and call it on the field, when offensive players lower their helmets,
like a ball carrier, yeah.
And you see Jaylen Warren was fined for it a couple of times in both instances, and one of the instances he's pass blocking.
Yeah,
he's 5'9". He's pass block. Yes, his helmet's going to be hit the guy. Yeah,
you're Maurice Jones-Drew or Sproles or somebody.
I think there's a difference between doing that and lowering your helmet into the, and it's never called in the game anymore. Maybe then guys get fined for it after the fact.
Maybe it's like phrased wrong. Like if there should be a flag and or fine using your helmet as a weapon. You know,
there is
no matter
for the
what,
defensive players.
there is for defensive players. Yeah. I mean, if I decide to, even if I drill someone in the knee with my helmet, or if it's protection or whatever, not just I'm short. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying on that. Because the Warren stuff didn't seem malicious or trying to injure. He's just kind of short.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I hate seeing things. I hate seeing guys get penalized after the fact for something that they did in a game and then get fined for it after the fact.
I know.
And then you see other things that were penalized in the game and they don't get fined for it because, well, apparently it wasn't a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess what I'm saying is there needs to be more transparency with the officials.
Like, I guess there's been hip drops this year, but there was no hip drop flags.
There were none called all season long.
But there were fines.
Yeah.
You know, so that happened over the course of a million plays over the course of the year. Yes, there were some hip drops, but there was never a flag.
So
it's weird to
my
me.
thinking on that is that the league didn't define that well enough for the officials to call it on the field.
Right. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Here's another one, and I don't think I have the right answer, but I'm just throwing it out there. You mentioned Warren getting fined, and bells went off in my head. Should you get fined a percentage of your check?
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to the undrafted free agent gets the same as Peyton Manning, who could write that check and not even know it's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, but then so many of the contracts are different now. Burrow only makes $1 million a week or whatever.
Are you charging him based off of what his base contract is,
right,
or what he earns overall?
What he really earns. You know what I mean? And I'm sure behind the scenes, Manning goes up to his blocker and here's $1,000, buddy, or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I hope that happens. I know that's illegal, but I hope it happens anyways. But I always feel so bad for the dude trying to make the team in the preseason that's making like nothing.
And they're getting fined
and loses money to play football that week.
They just played for nothing. They just played for free.
Or lost money.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
And they might not even make the team.
Right. Where Mahomes wouldn't care one bit about I got fined $10,000 fine. Who cares? You know, he doesn't matter one bit.
Doesn't even notice it when he gets his check.
No, right.
Because of the number of zeros out there.
Right. But that's messed up too.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone should get the same penalty because they're not going to have the same earnings.
No, they don't. And that's not taken into account. And, you know, ideally you don't get fined at all. But,
right.
Again,
Which is how the real world works. I mean, if I get a speeding ticket and you get a speeding ticket and we don't make the same amount, they're not like we're giving you 1% of your checkout. You know, I mean, I get it, but this is different.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Beanie Bishop gets fined for something. It's different than.
Yeah. It's a game.
Yeah.
You know, right.
He's making the league minimum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it costs, it hurts more.
Right. Again, you shouldn't lose money to play football a week.
I just, you know, to me, the biggest thing is the defensive players, when it comes to the fines, it's weighted so much more heavily against them.
Yeah.
In terms of who gets the fines. It's almost always the defensive players because they're the attackers.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't believe that is I understand the rules are set up for the offense, but I've said this to defensive players in the past. I'm like, you guys need to get together with the players union or something and say, this isn't fair.
Yeah, make your own defensive player union.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I don't remember seeing it happen a lot this year, or maybe even in the last year or two, is I hate when a pass rusher easily could sack the dude and it's like, I'm going to get a fine if I hit him too hard, and then the quarterback scrambles out and throws a touchdown. It's like, you know, and I'm not sure what the answer is there, or gets a hold of him and they don't blow the whistle, but these guy can't.
You can't fall on him.
Right. You know, I don't know. That seems to be getting better. I think the D linemen are better.
Guys have learned how to. I mean, again, it's matrix like. You know, you have to hit the guy and then turn your body in midair while you're taking him to the ground. And
that can be physically impossible at times. Sometimes physics are like, well, I got to land where I got to land.
I get it. We don't want guys picking the quarterback up and driving him in.
Not only Turkey Jones, right? Yeah. I get it, but it's still a little. Also, a difficult thing on the defense.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I can't think if there's anything else that I would necessarily change. It's a good game. Enjoy the games.
Yeah. I mean, basically in the football world, there's not a ton I would change. They could add another 0 to my check. That'd be fine. You know, right from the league office.
0 to 0 is right. doesn't get you a lot more.
Yeah, the league could just send Matt more checks. That'd be fine.
Well, if you were the grand poobah of the NFL, you would get
I would.
a big bump.
Yep, I would. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a ton of complaints.
No, I don't either. Again, I just like to see more transparency with the officiating, both in-game and then post-game.
Maybe they'll get better at that because some of that stuff's kind of new where they chime in, you know. I'm sure they're working out some kinks on their end too.
Yeah.
But you're right. The communication's not great.
I know one other thing that I would do. No 3 games in 11 days.
I almost didn't bring that up because I think I've talked it to death. I think you need to have 2 buys. And so, I mean, I would never even have a short week on a Thursday, let alone 3 and 11. I mean, I really think it's a massive problem to play a Sunday game and then go on the road on Thursday.
Well, you could see that in the future as the NFL expands its footprint internationally. That
18 games to
18 games and 2 buys.
I think that's coming, right?
Yeah. But right now, it's what the television networks want.
Oh, I know. It also wouldn't blow me away if it becomes like hockey at some point where we see more Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays. We kind of already are. They're dipping their toe in that water.
The Steelers have certainly played that this year.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt,
Happy Valentine's Day, Dale.
Oh, same to you.
You want to be my Valentine today?
No. No, I do not.
Should open the show with that.
Yeah. Matt, Travis Hunter is obviously invited to the Combine. They're only going to let him work out with the defensive back, so they made him pick one or the other.
Did he get the pick at least?
I believe he got to pick one, or maybe the NFL teams, I don't know exactly how that works, but he only gets a tryout at one spot. He probably has a choice in it, but I think where teams want to see him work out the most also factors into that.
And you said he's going to be with the DBs.
He's going to be with the DBs.
I think it's still this way, and it's very Steeler related. But I do think, especially when the LeBeau 3-4, the Steelers and other teams would request, hey, I want Joey Porter to drop to and do some linebacker stuff. I think that's team-driven maybe more than player-driven.
Yeah.
So I bet they're pushing Hunter as opposed to giving him the option.
That's my guess as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
his pro day, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, right. You got your pro day. You want to go out and run routes and do all that stuff, have at it.
Mm-hmm.
But here we've got 330 players coming in. We can't have everybody working out at multiple positions out of their choice.
Right. Because people might take this and run with it and be like, I can do both. And be like, no, you can't, though. I mean,
it's almost like, in the baseball league that I run a bunch of years ago, probably 8-10 years ago now, we're a pony organization, and Pony voted to allow kids to play up a level. And they largely did it for smaller organizations. Like, if
they get the best kids on the field?
I've got one team. I've got one pony team. I've got one Bronco team. I've got 2 Mustang teams, and I got 3 Pinto teams.
Okay.
Well, my one Bronco team only has 10 players.
Yeah.
Well, I want to bring one of those,
I can bring a young pup up for a game or two or whatever.
But in our situation,
and you bring the best one up, I'm sure.
In our situation, we've got over 600 kids in the organization, so we voted, hey, we don't have to do that. We're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that I brought up, I said, if you allow kids to make the choice to play up, they're not all going to be worthy of playing up.
Right. And maybe a decent, worthy kid that should be in right field is sitting because the younger kid bumped him.
Or just the fact that, how do we discern who gets to move up and who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, half of the Shetland League would want to, well, my kid's ready for real, for real baseball. No, he's not.
Do those call-ups, are those coaches' calls? Like, I want Johnny, I don't want Billy. Or is it
basically? Yeah.
I mean, like, who call the coach of the younger team, be like, who's your best dude? Or
but in the way the rule was written, that the kids could make their choice, or parents could make the choice to allow the kid to play up. Okay, so my kid, I think he's ready. They all think that they're ready.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then they get up there and they're struggling. Well, no, I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you made the choice to come up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I pushed hard for
hitting
him.
those pitchers has to be a big jump too.
It's a huge jump.
Yeah,
it's the biggest jump
maybe
that
the
you
fielding's
make.
not, but hitting.
It's
has
the
to
biggest
be
jump
brutal.
that you make because
Right.
you go from the coach pitching it and trying to allow you to hit the baseball to somebody actually throwing the ball at you, trying to not let you hit the baseball.
Yeah,
That's the idea.
I mean, even if it's kids pitching against kids, I bet the next level up is 10 miles an hour faster with a way better curveball, or you
start seeing curveballs and all. Yeah, it's just different. That doesn't mean that there aren't some capable of doing it, but where do you draw the line?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to hear, well, your kid's not good enough to do that.
Right. You definitely don't want to forfeit games if it's not like your league, if you don't have enough dudes. But if
you've got
dudes,
enough, like there's no reason to do it.
Right. Why bump a kid that could play too?
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have in this day. My notes are shorty. But
Yeah.
what's your take on Hunter? I have mixed feelings that this is going to work. Because, I mean, it's real easy to be a draftnik or someone in the community. I'm going to take him first overall. I'm going to play him a corner. I'm going to play him receiver. Yeah, but you've never been to an NFL practice or a meeting room.
2 hours a day.
Right. You got to go to one or two meeting rooms. You know, like a lot of these dudes, like Dion, would come in and run a handful of routes.
Rob Woodson did it a little bit.
Yeah, but I think receiver full-time takes more time than corner takes full-time.
Yeah. Corner's a reactionary position.
Yeah. You could tell me I'm just going to play man on this snap.
Yeah. You got that guy.
Yeah. Where receiver.
I got to have timing with the quarterback.
Yeah,
I got to know exactly.
Yeah.
I can't run a 10-yard route 7 yards.
Exactly. Right. I really need all the option routes. Because what I was going to say about Dion, I don't think he ran a diverse route tree.
No.
I mean, he ran fast go routes and posts. You know, I mean, he didn't run Wes Welker option routes, where you need the timing with Brady.
Here's the other thing that people don't talk about with that could come into play. And whatever team drafts him could find this in contract negotiations. Is he going to want to be paid? Like, look, I'm 2 players.
That's actually what I was about to say, too, because we actually had this same conversation. We went through the mock draft. I had him going first overall. And I'm like, well, is he going to play more corner or more receiver? And, like, he might say, I want to catch 80 balls and 12 touchdowns because I can. And receivers make more than corner, So even if he doesn't play both for you, you might get a year into this thing and he's like, I'm just going to go play the position that pays more money, which he has the right to do.
Right.
But then I would have drafted Tat McMillan.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that he's the best receiver in the draft or the best corner in the draft. Right.
Look, he did a lot of great stuff last year, and he won the Heisman. And
he's special. I get that. I just don't know that he can do both full time.
He wasn't the best receiver in college football last year.
Right. I don't think maybe he's better than McMillan. I don't think so.
I don't know if was he the best defensive back in college football. That's a better, more of an argument. But
all are arguments. He's not clearly the best corner in this draft or the best receiver in this draft.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's special enough to pull it off, or maybe 15 snaps on his minor, not his major, is enough, but it's weird. I mean, you're not going to be in those meeting rooms. If you blow in a coverage, I can't have you out there at corner.
Right. That's a problem. I mean, and
does the whole planet know we're going to play man if Hunter comes walking on the field because he doesn't know how to play cover 2?
Or if you're only going to play in third down packages, but we get into the hurry up offense and
you don't know what you're doing.
You don't know the hand signal, so we can't have you out there.
And you can't be out there. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of glitches to
the timing and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's easier said than done mentally. I mean, not physically, he might be able to do both.
Yeah.
And he might be able the stamina to play that many snaps. Okay. But if my quarterback doesn't trust you to run the hot route, you can't be out there, dude.
Right. We can't have our quarterback throwing interceptions because you're not in the right spot.
Yeah. And we're playing cover 3 and you're playing man. This isn't going to fly. I don't know. I think there's room for error there.
Yeah.
Use the first overall pick or second overall pick on the guy.
It's going to be interesting to see where he goes and what that contract negotiation
that too
works out to be.
Whenever 5 years from now, yeah.
Or even now. Like, because, you're slotted. Everything's kind of still slotted in. But how much signing bonus does he want? I want more.
I'm
2 players.
I mean, how many times have we talked about fifth-year options? Well, which fifth-year option am I picking up? I mean, there's going to be a rule here.
Is it going to be where he played more snaps at? And does he then start to, well, I'm close. I want to be paid like a wide receiver.
Yeah, year 4, I'm not going to play any corner.
Yeah.
So I get the 5th-year option as a receiver because I'm great at both. I'm like, well, why want you to be great at both? That's why I drafted you. Right. I don't know. I think there's some issues that could arise.
And definitely, it's going to be hairy a little bit.
Or the day he's got a little bit of an ankle, like, well, I'm not going to play any corner that day. Or
now you lose two players.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Right.
If he is, everybody hopes he can be
a star on both sides of the ball.
You steal a roster spot by having him on your roster if that's the case, but is he ever going to be like one of your top two receivers? Probably not. He's
Probably
a
not.
much better chance that he's one of your top two cornerbacks.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a corner first, and kind of Dion's it.
Yeah.
But you better be pretty special. I mean, how many catches did Dion have in his career? 20.
And he didn't do that right out of the gate.
No. He was a punt returner right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Cool. That's different. I don't know. I bet Dion didn't have more than 30 catches in his career.
We can look here.
And I bet Hunter gets more than that, but he's not. I can't imagine he plays 1,500 snaps a year.
Be rough.
Real rough.
Right. He finished his career with 60 receptions.
Dion did, okay.
His best year was with Dallas in '96. He had 36 catches for 475 yards.
Okay, I didn't think to that degree.
That was on 67 targets, too, so it was...
They threw him the ball when he was in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 57, really like a 50% target share.
Yeah, that's the only season in his career where he was listed as a cornerback and wide receiver.
Okay. So, but that's still
the
not
other years, his most catches in any other year was 7.
Those are the years I remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one year. Still, he only ran 67 routes that year. That's not that many.
Yeah. Well, that's 67 targets.
Oh, okay.
He probably ran more routes.
Yeah, he ran way more routes then. Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, and that was 8 years into his career.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't doing that again. He had one catch as a rookie for -8 yards. He just put him out there to run a trick play or something,
This isn't what we were talking about, but when did he start playing baseball, too? That's pretty ridiculous. He had 67 targets.
He wasn't a good baseball player.
Wasn't he?
No.
Oh, okay.
He was
I knew he was a fast leadoff hitter, steal base guy.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson was a lot better, right?
Bo Jackson was a much better baseball player than Deion Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah. Bo Jackson was an all-star baseball player.
That I remember, breaking bats over his knees and hitting giant home runs. And
playing defense, like
scaling
walls.
Yeah.
Had a great arm, and he was a legitimate baseball player. Deion was an okay baseball player.
Yeah, okay. But, he's not an all-star type baseball player. Okay.
No.
But
anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And this is the drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And you can hear this show every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on these very airways. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get the show there, or you can watch on YouTube and leave your comments, and sometimes we'll talk about said comments.
Yep.
Matt, we talked in the opening segment of the show about trading for Matthew Stafford.
I thought that was a curveball you were going to throw me. I was mentally preparing myself. Okay. Is that what we're doing?
So we're gonna try to see what would look like if we did trade for Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
What our draft would come out looking like.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say we're gonna give up pick 21.
Okay.
We're gonna get 26 back. I don't mind that part of the
Oh no, I don't mind
here.
that part of the equation.
We're gonna give up 53. Well, we're already at a 36% chance here on Pro Football Focus of that being accepted.
Okay. I don't think that's crazy. I think maybe you could get him for a second and a fifth. So that trade down doesn't.
Yeah. The thing
break my
is,
heart,
the
right?
Rams have picks 26, 90, 100, 126, 189, 200, and 201. They have nothing in between. They have no.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they'd want 53 involved.
Yeah.
Just because they have nothing in the second round.
Right. Which would have great value to them.
Yeah. Agreed.
So let's say we give up.
How about a future fourth or something?
That's what I was going to say. A future 4 gives us a 53% chance.
Because I don't want to make 2 picks in this draft.
Yeah. So we're giving up 21, 53. Next year's 4. They got a 6 next year. Let's see if we can get that. That puts it at.
Okay. Yeah.
That's realistic.
Yeah, I don't think that's an insane trade, right?
Yeah.
If I were the Rams and I decided I'm not going to give him money, I would strongly consider that.
Okay. I just forced the deal.
Okay. I don't think that's crazy.
So we start this draft with pick 26. We don't have a second round pick.
Right. Okay. Quickly, though, I want to add to the situation. I don't think that pick happens on draft day. You don't go from now until April with no quarterback. You don't sign Fields.
Well, if they're going to move on from Stafford, they're going to want to know.
This happens like tomorrow.
Right. They're going to want to know, it's going to help their cap situation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they then are capable of signing.
Oh, then they go get Darnold or whatever, too. They need to know, you need to know. This has to happen ASAP. Not tomorrow, but it has to happen soon. So, therefore, the Steelers still sign somebody else.
Right.
I mean, you're not done if you make that trade. And maybe you're more aggressive than ever because you don't have as much draft capital as you originally happened.
Right.
And maybe your signings get more aggressive and more win nowish. You know what I mean? Like, I just trade for Matthew Stafford. I'm not building for tomorrow.
Right.
I want to win Super Bowl this year.
All right. So do we want to trade it again?
Cup or Debo or something like that.
I might want to call, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, let's
for
start
real.
with Kirk. Yeah. And really call them and
see if I can pry Christian Kirk away.
Yeah.
Where's Jacksonville? Jacksonville. Okay. So we're going to call Jacksonville. We're going to say we had a deal worked out for Christian Kirk last year. Are you still interested in that? You are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's what we got. For Christian Kirk, we can give you our 3rd round pick, but we're going to need something back on the other side.
I was going to offer a 4th.
I don't think a 4 is going to get it done.
Okay.
A 4 won't get it done.
Mm.
But we can give you 85, but we're going to need at least 142 back.
Yeah. You in on that? I mean, this could be a short segment. We might not have like 2 picks in a segment.
Well, we might not be done.
Right. I was going to say you're also signing Byron Murphy. Like, you signed somebody from outside the organization.
Absolutely. And we still have our 1st round pick.
You still have cap space and all that stuff, too. Right. Okay. I'm in on that Kirk deal.
Let's say we also throw in 246 here. And they're going to give us 222. We're going to move up a little bit at the end.
Let's get a little sugar in there,
And that deal is done. All right. So now,
let's say that was not a draft day trade. That happened this week as well.
So now right now, as we sit here, we have 26, 121, 142, 162, 222, 224, and 230.
Okay.
Not a lot of draft capital there, but we've added 2 quality players.
We have. This is going to sound counterintuitive, and I don't think my answer is yes. But would you consider trading Pickens to get more draft capital?
That was going to be my next question. It's either that or we trade the 26 pick to pick up additional draft capital.
Well, I'm definitely listening to that. I kind of like the idea of Stafford throwing to Pickens, though.
I like that a lot, too.
Quite a bit.
Like our offense right now, and then you're gonna be able to add a rookie running back here.
Right.
To the
it's
equation.
Pretty much done.
Your offense is going to look a lot better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we gave stuff up to do it.
Yeah.
But you got Pickens, Kirk, Freiermuth, of course, Stafford, et cetera, et cetera. We can worry about Pickens' contract whenever. The only way I would trade him is if it's like a Debo-type trade we've made before. And I'm getting Debo and picks, But then you get pretty old quick.
Right.
I would almost have to draft a receiver just to get young.
Okay, I'm going to start the draft because whatever we would get for Pickens would probably be a 2nd rounder anyways.
And I'm not going to be – I don't think this is crazy. We also signed Byron Murphy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to add a free agent in free agency outside the organization. And if you're going to be aggressive in a Stafford-type trade that happens on Valentine's Day, you're going to go after a pretty big dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start the draft.
So Kirk, Stafford, and Murphy are Steelers.
Yes. All right. Shoot. Kenneth Grant went to pick ahead of us.
Okay. He would have been appealing in this situation.
He would have definitely been a target there.
We're not – I'm say he went. We're picking 26, not 21. Yeah.
All right, so the top players available: Armand Membo, Omarion Hampton, Gray Zabel, Nick Scourton, Josh Connerly, Jahdae Barron, Colston Loveland, Demetrius Knight, Trey Amos, Siobhan Ravel, Ezereku, Eliki Yemenor, T.J. Sanders, Jack Betch, Landon Jackson, Prince Yu, Jihad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama, Tuamaloa. None of these guys really...
I really want to add a D lineman here.
We have 7 trade offers to move down.
Okay. I think we should explore them, and I don't mind moving far. Considering what we've added to this football team, if The Toledo D lineman's my first pick at 45 or 50. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm picking a lot of day 2 dudes, one name that was a little appealing there that isn't my style, and I don't say you take him there, but think of that offense with Hampton.
I know.
You know, I got Stafford, Kirk, Pickens, Hampton, Freiermuth. It's a little different skill group than what you've been playing with.
One guy I watched a bunch of tape on him last night. I'm warmed up on Derek Harmon.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that. I have too. I like his length.
I see some Cam Hayward traits.
I wish his lower body was a little stronger. He's got a little bit of a weird build. And He's got like narrow calves, and he's not as manly as Cam, but few are.
Yeah. But the way his hand usage and the way he splits double,
his long arms, and he is a pass rusher, and he makes a lot of plays. I just think I watched the wrong games on Saturday.
I think I did too. Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't glued to them either. But no, Harmon could be my pick.
Yeah. So here are the teams that are on the phone: the Commanders with pick 29.
Fine.
The Giants with pick 34.
Is Harmon available? I missed that.
He
before.
is.
Okay.
Yeah. The Titans at pick 35. The Jaguars at pick 36. The Cowboys at 44, the Bengals at 49, the Texans at 57. I'm good with any of those picks, in the 30s and above.
Me too.
Because if we go, even if
I can get a third out of it.
Yeah, if we go down to like Jacksonville at pick 36, we're getting a third.
We're getting a third out of it. Right.
We're going to get back into that.
Do you want to open with them?
Let's see. They're at 36, so they have 36.
There's a lot of day 2 D linemen that would help our team.
Yeah, they have 36 and 70.
Okay.
So if I'm going that, I got to get 70 out of them. They also
that's an early third.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
They've got 85, which was ours, 88, 105, 124, 181, 193, 246. I don't mind throwing in a late round pick, or let's say 230, and we can get
like a fifth or something.
Let's see if we can get like 181 off of them too.
Okay. I'm into that, and I'll take my chances of who's there at 36 or wherever they pick.
Yeah. That would give us something in between then. It would give us 36, 70, 121, 142, 162, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
They didn't take that one. They didn't accept that one.
Okay.
All right.
Would you do it just for 70?
Let's see if they'll throw in 190. We could even sweeten the pot here a little bit. We're giving up 3. They're giving us 3 picks. We're not going to make all these picks. Let's give them 224 as well. That one they did. So
okay, cool.
26, 224, 230 for 36, 70, and 181.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
All right. Strongly going to say D-line here.
Yeah. Has to be a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to look at the defensive linemen available. And TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott, Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander.
I like both the last two, but even before our Harmon conversation 5 minutes ago, I remember saying last week, I've been in mocks that I've done on my own, and those two are sitting there, and I take Harmon.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you're happy about it, right?
Derek Harmon it is. All right. So now we've added quarterback,
mm-hmm.
a wide receiver,
mm-hmm.
a cornerback, and a defensive tackle.
Yeah. And I'd still be looking at noses.
Still would look at noses. We got a bunch of picks later in the draft.
Yeah.
Probably get a nose. All right. We're up here now at 70.
And I'm not sure I'm done at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
definitely take a
you can wait a year now,
yeah.
more so than before. But if there's one sitting there, side note, I think it's illegal now to take Shuck at 4th round or later. People are heating up on him. And I know in some of these you can get him like the 6th round. I think that's cheating in a big way.
Okay. The players available here to us, Ozzie Trapillo, Travion Henderson, the running back out of Ohio State, Kevin Winston, the safety out of Penn State, Jonas Avania, tackle out of Arizona, Jalen Royals, the wide receiver out of Utah State.
I don't think we have to be done at receiver.
No, we don't have to be.
Right.
But
I don't know if Pickens will be here in 3 years.
Right.
You know.
Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas. Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky.
I don't think we have to be done at corner either.
No.
He's a good player.
Yeah. Lantham Ransom, a safety out of Ohio State. Josiah Stewart, the edge rusher out of Michigan. Jeffrey Bassett, a linebacker from Oregon. Elijah Arrojo, tight end out of Miami. Marcus Mbao, the offensive lineman out of Purdue. Isaiah Bond, wide receiver, Texas. Charles Grant, the tackle out of William & Mary. Azirie Thomas, the cornerback out of Florida State. Anthony Belton, tackle out of North Carolina State. There's some good players there.
There are. I might be a little more inclined with what we have at the moment to take an offensive lineman higher than in most of the mocks we've done, because my quarterback's really valuable right now, and he's not the youngest fellow in the world. I don't need him getting hit like crazy. The two that stood out to me are Thomas and Hairston, the two corners.
I think I'd go the corner route.
Because Murphy can bump in play slot, and those were my favorite Steeler fits, not worrying what we even have, And I probably prefer Hairston.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Takes the ball away.
Takes the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell Hairston it is.
Talk about corner upgrades.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
group.
Good stuff, yeah.
Okay, now we're up at 121, and we almost have to go running back here.
I was going to say, the two spots I don't want to leave this draft without is definitely a running back and preferably a nose.
Yeah.
I mean, other positions I can live with what we have and not add anybody or grab a C-level free agent after the draft or something like that, you know?
All right.
But I think you have to end up with a back and a nose.
Running backs available. You're looking at Damian Martinez out of Miami, Brashard Smith out of SMU, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out of Arizona, Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn, Khalil Mullins out of Michigan, Trevor Etienne out of Georgia, Kyle McGonigal out of Rutgers, Marcus Yarns out of Delaware, Brashel Tootin.
Martinez is my favorite.
Taj Brooks. Martinez is my favorite as well.
I mean, I think he is a Steeler.
Yeah.
You just want to make it official?
Yep.
Yep.
Damian Martinez it is.
Okay. He
Okay.
runs hard.
Back up at 142. I think we should look in that defensive tackle spot again. Who's available as a true nose? Well, Shamar Turner is there out of Texas A&M.
I don't think he's a nose.
I don't think he is either. C.J. West, however,
he
out of Indiana is.
Yeah.
Tim Smith out of Alabama.
I don't know who I prefer, but both would fit the bill.
Junior Tafana out of Utah. Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech. I think you take West or Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you prefer?
I don't prefer, but I'm fine with either.
I like West a little bit more.
Cool.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
C.J. West it is.
Okay.
We've added 2 defensive linemen.
Yeah. Now you could almost best available or...
We're up at 162.
A tackle wouldn't break my heart.
You take
that's a tough spot.
Do you take Shuck here? Or do you look at the tackle class?
Cheating.
It's 162.
I think he's going to go in the second round.
I don't know if he's going to go in the second round.
I really do think when it's all said and done, that's where he's going to end up.
Emory Jones is there.
He's been a favorite of mine. I would be fine with that. We've taken him a couple times.
John Williams, the tackle out of Cincinnati, is there. Jack Nelson, the tackle out of Wisconsin.
I don't know a ton about him. I like Jones.
Emory Jones.
Yeah.
There
I
you
like
go.
Jones quite a bit.
Again, we're not making the rules here. We're just playing by what's available. Now, if you think we got to take Shuck, we can take Shuck here. But Kyle McCord's still available. Curtis Rourke's still available. Max Brosmer's still available.
I think they're more realistic, to be honest with you, but I don't have a problem with a quarterback, any of those quarterbacks. I'm not going to divulge where I'm putting Shuck on my quarterback list, but I did last night, and it's pretty high.
Well, he's a high on mine, too.
I just think that he's going to go in round 2. I really do. I'm fine with a quarterback. I wouldn't mind another receiver.
We're going to take Shuck here.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I would have taken him long ago.
We didn't have picks.
I know. I'm just warming up to him very, very fast, and I was never cold on him.
All right, you want to look at wide receiver? Will Shepard from Colorado is there. Isaac Tesla from Arkansas.
With an extra A, right?
Yeah. Tesla, capital S, too.
Yeah.
Weird looking. Theo Weiss Jr. from Missouri. Kyron Lacey, you can't draft him. Zachary Franklin from Illinois. Rock Taylor from Memphis. Jackson Meeks from Syracuse. Brew McCoy from Tennessee. I don't love this group.
I don't know. None of them are standing out to me.
Yeah.
Deep tight end draft, I wouldn't mind.
We could bring in Ja'Cory Brooks because he could work with Shuck. Ja'Cory Brooks from Louisville. Let's see what the best available is. R.J. Mickens, safety from Clemson. Graham Mertz, quarterback from Florida. Hunter Wohler, safety out of Wisconsin. He's a good player. I don't know how he fits in. Aubrey Burks, safety.
We don't have a third safety, period. I mean, and at this point, I'm thinking special teams as well.
Yeah.
Safety, linebacker.
I mean, Xavier Watts is still there. coming back this year.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Watts, I should say.
So,
Xavier Watts is in this draft.
I say he's still there. I'll take him.
Aubrey Burks, safety out of West Virginia. Will Shepard, the wide receiver out of Colorado. Malachi Moore, safety out of Alabama. Timothy McKay, guard of North Carolina State. Ty Robinson, defensive lineman out of Nebraska.
I might take the best safety.
All right.
Just for special teams reasons. And
R.J. Mickens then is their top-ranked guy. Mickens is okay. Lined in the slot a little bit for them.
Did he?
Split time between the box and deep. What's the size? He's 6 foot 210. Okay, so he's good size. All right, R.J. Mickens it is.
All right. That's a wrap, right?
That is a wrap. And so
the offense looks a little different.
Looks a lot different.
Yeah.
A lot different. All right, so we traded for Matthew Stafford. Gave up a lot. We then traded for Christian Kirk. We gave up an okay amount there, but we made another deal with the Jaguars then on draft day to gain some of those picks back. And moving back to pick 36, we took Derek Harmon, defensive lineman out of Oregon, with our first pick at 36. We then took at 70 Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky. In round 4, we grabbed Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami, Florida, I should say. Round 5 was C.J. West, defensive tackle, nose tackle out of Indiana. We also had a second fifth-round draft pick we used on Emory Jones, the offensive tackle out of LSU. In round 6 was Tyler Shuck, quarterback out of Louisville, and R.J. Mickens, safety out of Clemson at pick 222.
And what did we lose from next year's draft in all these process? Do you remember?
A fourth-round draft pick, but we got a 6 back.
I would do all that. I mean, if that was the real world, sign me up. I would do that.
And we signed Byron Murphy.
You're a lot better football team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the draft and off-season's for, not to get worse. But, right. I think you're a contender.
I think it's a pretty good draft, a pretty good haul over the next month if you do something like that.
Yeah, and I'm throwing the ball a higher percentage. I'm throwing to the middle of the field more. I mean, I'm doing more Stafford stuff.
I think in this setting, George Pickens has 1,300 yards next year.
I think he's a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro.
Yeah,
not a Pro Bowler. I think he's a second-team All-Pro.
And Kirk might have 1,000 yards. He might get 1,000 yards out of both.
And you might be like, George, I'll give you whatever you want for contract-wise. Like all those problems that might just go away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you're thrilled to give him $25 a year or whatever. Yeah. I mean that's how the world works.
Christian Kirk's still young enough that if Shuck would happen to work out, you're okay.
Kirk is also very slot capable for people that don't know.
He can play inside. He can play outside. Yeah, gives you more flexibility with your offense.
Yeah. No, you became a much better team. Became a much better offense.
Yeah. Well, not according to Pro Football Focus. We finished in the bottom 21% of the Steelers draft here because we didn't have a first-round pick.
No, okay.
They're
just talking about the picks.
Just out of the blue last night, I said, what would happen if I just traded my entire draft for the number 1 overall pick in the draft here on this particular mock draft?
Yeah.
Which I did. And then I took Travis Hunter.
Okay.
I finished in the top 60% of Steeler drafts.
Wow.
So I don't know what else people are giving up to do this, but
the Ricky Williams trade, everything move. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that the one year when I noticed if you took a quarterback, you got an A+.
Yeah, I know.
And so I just took 7 rounds of quarterback. Took best quarterback available in every round. I got an A+, best draft ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's realistic.
I'd say every running back is like a C-.
Oh, you're going to get an F every time.
Crushed for, even if it's a 5th-round running back.
Yeah.
You're supposed to play with no running backs on your team.
Apparently. You just get those anywhere.
We got younger on D, we got older on O, and we got a lot better on O.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yep, absolutely. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley, and this is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio and the Steelers Audio Network. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, I put a little note out earlier today on the X Twitter. As asking if anybody had any questions they wanted to ask us here. A little open mailbag here. And the first question here is from Justin Grove. He said, what position group will the Steelers target in free agency? By the way, also love the show. Well, we appreciate that, Justin. Yeah. And I think we just targeted it. Cornerback.
I think corner and wide receiver, although wide receiver has more trade feel to
potential,
it. Yeah. Like, do you agree if they were to add, quarterback aside, I mean, if they were to add someone from outside the organization that's a true UFA to substantial money, starter plus money, it's corner?
I think so.
I do too.
I just think it matches up well with the age of Joey Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have a better idea of what you're getting exactly.
Yeah.
In if you sign a free agent as opposed to guessing what you're going to get out of the draft.
And it's not a bad corner draft. I'm not trying to avoid the corners in this draft. And where the Steelers pick, there's often we do mocks. Oh, I like that corner.
It wouldn't hurt to have one more.
Right. But I can't just trust Trice to be my starter. That's for sure. Right.
No, the injury, and I like Corey Trice, but the injury history.
Yeah,
it's there. It's real.
No, right.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about him, but he doesn't have to be the starter right now.
No, absolutely not.
No, I would be pretty aggressive on the corner market of outside positions, which wouldn't kill your comp pick stuff too. I mean, if you give them the same money that James Daniels gets on the free agent market,
you're still going to get.
You're still going to get stuff. By the way, that Stafford trade we made last segment, Wilson and Fields are signing contracts.
Right.
You're going
to reap some comp picks out of that, which is why I don't mind swapping some picks next year.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to get some back. Matt Sable asks, of the injured rookies, I know Fatanu is in the plans and probably Roman Wilson. Well, there's no probably about Roman Wilson. He's in the plans. But do you think Watson and Lee are going to make this team or will they be drafted over? They'll get an opportunity to make the team. I can't guarantee. I mean, they're both 6th-round draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantees that they're going to make the team next year. You can always overdraft those guys.
It's a good question. I don't love how he phrased it of in the plans. They're all in the plans.
Right.
I mean, they're happy they're around. None of their
That's why they drafted them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be in the mix. I think there's a better chance that 4 of them make the team than 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do too.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say 2 are locks. I was impressed with Watts. Watts to me is really appealing.
At the very least, he is probably a special teams demon for you.
At least.
That body type and the speed.
There's serious traits with him.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a strong feeling on Lee.
I liked him. I was surprised he actually lasted to the 6th round.
Yeah. I've heard from within the building that they're kind of excited about him. Yeah. And I'm not saying he's next Cam Hayward, folks, that they don't have to draft the lineman, but he might be a cheaper Lowry. He can what I mean?
He can be a rotational guy that comes in and gets you 15 snaps a game next year, and you'd be happy about it.
It wouldn't shock me if his 4-year contract, one of which is already
he replaces at the worst. He replaces Loudermilk.
That's the name I was going to say. Is I went Loudermilk plus 10%.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think that's who he could be. Yeah.
Hessian asks, among the he actually used the amongst, which is your little pet word.
I also don't spell receiver right ever.
The running back class, would Cam Scatabo fit what the Steelers are looking for, and what do you guys think of him? I've watched a bunch of prospects and just love his overtly physical attitude to the game and drive for extra yardage. Thanks. I love him.
Yep.
I don't know that I love him where you're probably going to have to take him.
Yeah. I think he's easy to love. I think 32 teams are going, oh, I love him.
Yeah, I'd take that guy.
Yeah, all the running back coaches, I love exactly like the way he phrased that. I mean, the way he plays the game, the aggressive nature, all those things. Combine's going to be big for him, though.
It is.
I mean, I don't put a ton of stock in combine numbers for running backs. I mean, he can play the game at a high level.
Yeah.
Do you think he's one of the top 5 off the board? I think he's probably closer to 6.
He's in that range, though, and
it's a little pricey.
It's a little pricey. I think if you liked Javonte Williams a couple of years ago, you like Cam Scatabo.
Yeah.
There's very similar type players.
Yep.
But as we saw with Javonte Williams, got hurt.
He gets hurt. Yeah.
Because you have to be built in a certain style, and that's the one thing you can't take away from Najee Harris.
Right, exactly.
the dude can take a hit.
Yeah.
And
without
deliver.
ducking out of bounds. I mean, yeah.
And deliver a blow because of his body type. I don't know if the Scatterbows, if that particular running style is going to hold up long term in the NFL.
It might not. It might not. And he's taking a beating as we speak. I mean, deep into the playoff run. Say what you want about Pro Football Focus, but one thing I like that they do is broken tackle rate.
Yeah.
And they've been around long enough, and Williams is a perfect example. Dudes that are hard to tackle at the college level are hard to tackle at the NFL level, and they almost never bust. If you have a good PFF broken tackle rate, and that can be running away from people, running through them, juking them out of their shoes,
right.
But whatever. If you're hard to tackle, it almost always translates. He's hard to tackle.
He's hard to tackle.
Yeah, he's hard to tackle.
He's a good football player. I just don't know that I would want to have to spend a second-round draft pick on him.
If I told you right now, I'll trade you the Steelers' third-round pick for Scatterbo. Now.
That I would be in on.
Okay, you'd say yes.
Yeah.
I would not say yes to the second.
I don't think I would either.
Today. Maybe on draft day I would if the wrong 51 dudes or whatever fell off the board.
Right. I think I love him. Love the player. I just don't
match well with Warren.
Yeah. He'd match well with just about anybody.
With anybody, right. But I also wonder, I mean, let's say he is the 6th running back off the board or 7th. Because I think the Ohio State guys that go ahead of him, and I think the top 3 are definitely going ahead.
Here's what's going to happen with the combine. Some of these backs are going to go out there and run 4.3s in the 4.3s, and they're going to get pushed up the draft board.
I think the Ohio State dude is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there could be some other guys that are, because teams are going to look at what Detroit does. They're going to, we want that guy. The Bears could do that. They could say, hey, I want to replicate what we have here. I'm going to go out and get my,
I actually
my
mocked
speed
them
back.
to Genty.
Yeah. And so that's going to change the opinions on some of those guys. Or they're going to look really good in the agility drills. Or they're going to catch the ball better than somebody thought.
And I bet the combine's not Scatterbo's best friend.
Probably not, because he's a football player.
Right. My point is, if we looked, and I don't know the answer to this, but if we looked at the last 5 drafts, what point of the draft does RB6 fall off the board? I bet it's mostly the 3rd round. Like, I doubt, I don't know that he goes in the top 50 or the top 70 maybe.
Yeah, it might be more of
How many teams have a running back as a primary need that they're going to use the top 2 pick on?
Yeah.
You might get him in the 3rd.
And there are going to be some of these backs who are available this year in free agency are going to get signed.
Right. Whoever signs Najee's not drafting him.
Yeah.
It's not.
Jeyy Mick, who actually underscore JP Primetime, J Primetime, I should say, on the Twitter, asks us the non-quarterback plan this non-quarterback plan this offseason, whatever that is,
I don't know what the heck's
should be to load up on as much talent as possible, especially offensively around the quarterback, and then go get a quarterback in 26 with a better pool of options, because we've seen this movie before in 2022. Do you guys believe Con and Andy will be different? You can't assume that next year's quarterback class is going to be better. You can't assume that there are going to be more quarterbacks next year just because guys happen to be draft eligible next year. That doesn't mean they're going to throw their name into the hat.
Right. Like, I get that approach for the Browns and Saints. Teams like that are cash-strapped, that are
they're
really
going to be at the top of the draft no matter what.
They're going to have a really tough time winning games this year. In this draft, I'm not passing on a day 2 guy that I like, quarterback.
Yeah.
But I am in favor of building. I always talk about building the nest. You know what I mean? I do not want to, I think it'd be a mistake.
Well, here's the thing. Whether people want to believe it or not, the nest here in Pittsburgh isn't bad.
No. And it's getting better.
Yeah.
And I mean that from a young O-line standpoint especially. I think it would be a mistake for the Browns, even if they love Shedeur Sanders, take him at 2 when Batonio and Conklin are playing for other teams in Wyatt
An
Teller.
offensive line, you're going to be breaking in 4 new offensive linemen, and none of them are going to be high draft picks.
And Njoku and Judy are only good offensive players, and they're not even Gronk and Jerry Rice. What I mean? To me, that's a losing proposition
with no running backs. And,
right. No running game. I mean, you're begging for that guy to fail.
to be Tim Couch.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I also don't think the Steelers are going to use the first-round pick this year on a quarterback.
No, I don't either.
Maybe a third.
Yeah.
You know,
A developmental guy that, if he had stayed in college another year, might be in this group that you're talking about.
Or it's a Shuck or a Howard or somebody like that too. That
has a lot of
has some
experience
promise, right?
Yeah.
That's probably at least a 2 going forward.
Because you just don't. A, you don't know where you're going to be drafting at next year.
Mm-hmm.
B, you just don't. I mean, everybody says, well, there might be 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the first round next year. There might be 3 again, or 2, or whatever. You just don't know.
And hey, if you signed Russell Wilson, you're still looking at first-round quarterbers next year,
right?
Even if
you
he's a
traded
Pro
for
Bowler.
Sam Bradford, you're still potentially using a first-round pick on a quarterback next year.
Yeah, Sam Bradford wouldn't do you much good.
Or not
but
Sam
Matthew
Bradford,
Stafford would.
Matthew Stafford.
Right,
yeah.
but you definitely are right.
Right.
And maybe even if you sign Field.
Yeah. Andrew Kwiatkowski asks, do you see the ideal complement to Jaylen Warren as another big bruiser like Najee or someone with more speed that can hit home runs?
Bruiser.
Ideally, you'd like to have a bruiser who can.
I think Hampton's that guy. I just don't know if I'm willing to use that high a pick on a running back. The offseason would have to go on really well.
I mean, we just took Damian Martinez. He's a 230-pound running back.
Mm-hmm. But we've also taken a second running back in like rounds 6 or 7.
Speed guy, yeah.
That guy can be my returner speed dude, that's 190.
Yeah.
But I mean, how long have we been Steelers faithful? Going back to Franco, it's going to be a big back.
They like their bigger backs.
Yeah.
They've tried smaller backs.
Mm-hmm.
They've had smaller backs, but
Willie Parker was great, but he was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
He wasn't a first-round pick. I don't think they'd have drafted his style of back super high.
They tried with Amos Zaraway to push Jerome Bettis aside, and Bettis pushed right back.
Yeah.
That, for whatever reason.
You're an AFC North team that plays in weather, and you're based on physicality.
A lot of grass fields. And,
right.
Yeah. That looks like that's pretty much it for the questions, Matt.
Okay. I like the mailbag section there. Right.
Yeah. But
we have some good
questions.
Good listeners too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about some of the things that I've seen on the message board. We answered one of those questions earlier in the show when we talked about trading draft picks this year for veteran players. We just did that, in our mock draft. And
if the Steelers left this draft and didn't make a pick in round 1, I would understand it. I could write a story where that would even make them better potentially.
Yeah,
you end up with 3-day 2 picks and a player. Christian Kirk or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, because I think when you look at this particular draft, you might have 5 to 8 true blue chip prospects.
Mm-hmm. You're not getting one of them.
You're not going to get one of those guys. Yeah. He's not going to fall all the way down.
Mm-hmm. And some of them are positions you're not after anyway.
Right.
A lot of edge rushers and right.
And then your next 40 to 50 guys
aren't much different.
They're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
In terms of what you're going to be, what your grade is going to be on them.
And the combine.
There might be some you like a little better than others.
Sure, they're going to they'll sort themselves out more than they do today on Valentine's Day. But that's how this draft is. I mean, if I ended up with a bunch of second-round picks, you can do quite well.
Yeah, I think when we start getting into more of our mock drafts, into the real mock draft season, that end of the first round, the picks 20 on, you're going to see a lot of different names thrown in there over the course of this whole thing. If you're paying attention to this, well, this guy has these guys in the first round, this guy has that guy in the first. Like, there's going to be a lot of variance there.
Absolutely, or Dane's top 50 versus Mel's top 50.
Different dudes.
Yeah, could be very different.
Particularly in like the top 40.
Yeah. Boy, he has him 15 and Mel has him 42. I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not as crazy as it sounds. Right.
No, absolutely not. But let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more to finish up the show right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, in the news today, Tyreek Hill and Noah Lyles have agreed to race each other to end the debate on who is the faster human being.
Okay.
Noah Lyles, of course,
I said, coach me up on Lyles.
He is a United States Olympic medalist.
Okay, so I mean, he's going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was running away from Rod Woodson with pads on and the ball in your hand.
If they were doing this with pads on and it's just a race from, okay, we're going to start here at the 10 and we're going to race to the goal line.
In cleats on field turf or on AccuSure Field or whatever, I'll take Tyreek. Or if it's catch an out route, make someone miss, and take to the house, I'll take Tyreek. But if it's just on a track, I bet he gets beat bad.
Yeah. If I'm the Dolphins, do I want Tyreek training for this particular thing?
It sounds like a hamstring waiting to happen.
Absolutely.
But right.
Yeah.
And I know he has a track background. I mean, he's not like Joe Blow, just happens to run fast,
But Noah Lyles is an Olympic sprinter.
This is what he does every day, all day, all the time.
This is what he does.
Right. He doesn't do squats or, bench. He certainly doesn't bench or do any upper body stuff or change of direction skills.
He practices constantly on his get-off.
Do one thing, run super fast in a straight line. Yeah, which is why the combine's kind of dumb for the 40 because this is Lyles stuff, not football stuff that they're practicing right
and
now.
Guys are you see them get down in their stance and they're in their sprinter stance and I
don't know a lot about track, but I know that the start is the most important part.
Absolutely. That's why when teams will watch the 40 times, you watch it and it's interesting if somebody runs a really, good 40, but you don't put a ton of stock in. Like I don't need to see a 320-pound guy. Boy, he got out of the blocks really fast, or he didn't get out of the block. He's 6'6", 320 pounds. He's not going to get out of the blocks real fast.
No. So this story will make it sound like I'm making fun of a really good human being and a Hall of Fame player, Paul Warfield. But when I was with the Browns, Paul Warfield was a scout for us. He's a great human being. Yeah, I mean, and I remember we were talking about in the receiver war room. It sounds kind of dumb now, but Paul said these guys should start in a track stance like I did back in the day. You can't because someone's going to push you around in man coverage. And we kind of brushed it off because it's Paul Warfield and he's a 65-year-old man and he's a Hall of Famer and he's 1,000 times better than all of us put together. But he did come back after someone challenged, like, no, Paul, we can't do that. He's like, you know how much faster my first couple steps are? Because he's a track background. Yeah. Coming out of my stance than I am just standing there, like a receiver. He's like, I blew past so many people off the line of scrimmage and I got good at swatting away the man coverage guys. Like, it's not as crazy as it sounds. I mean, no one does it and no one should do it. But you explode out of your stance if you're really good at it. And Tyreek's not going to be as good at it as this dude. There's no chance.
He's just not. He's also in his 30s
I say he's also not 22 or whatever. Yeah. Right. I don't know how old Lyles is, but if he's an Olympian, I'm sure he's not in his 30s.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Let's see if they have
I mean, this isn't Tyson versus what's-his-face fight where the fighter is over the hill and the non-fighter isn't. That would be a race. Like if he wants to race Manute Bull, or not Manute, who's the fastest dude ever? Not
Usain Bolt.
What am I talking about? Bolt. Like that would make, if he wants to race a 45-year-old, okay, that does this for a living. But someone in their prime that's an Olympian is going to destroy him.
Lyles is fresh off of winning the 60-meter final in yet another world event. I'm just reading a story here off of. I mean, he wins these routinely. He still does these things. Yes, he's the 100-meter Olympic champion. I don't care what.
Tyreek's one of the fastest football players I've ever seen in cleats on the field.
Yeah.
This dude, the last 10 yards, might turn around and mock him and do it backwards.
So a good speed for an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
If you top 21 mile an hour,
you're flying.
You're flying.
Yeah.
You get to
in
20.
Pads, right?
Yeah. You get to 22. You're really doing well.
Special, yeah.
Usain Bolt, his fastest, I think, world record-setting time was over 25 miles an hour.
You're racing a car.
Yeah. You can Tyreek Hill can have the nickname the cheetah all he wants.
Right.
He doesn't run like a cheetah. A cheetah runs over 70 or like 60 plus miles an hour.
He's not tracking down the antelope in the Serengeti.
No.
But Lyles might. That's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not even going to be close in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know much about track, but I'll put everything I own on the track
I'll
athlete.
Take the track athlete in a track race.
Mm-hmm. And then Tyreek, after he gets blown out, should be like, let's try it.
Yeah, do it
in Miami Stadium.
Yeah. Now put on some pads and we'll race again.
And you got to hold this football, and you can't, and you got to start from a wide receiver alignment, not a track stance. He might win that. Yeah. I'm not even sure if he'd win that if it's untouched straight line.
Yeah,
that dude's flying.
Juke guy, and then go.
He might be the fastest human being on the planet. I mean, come on.
Good chance. I mean, he's winning. He's in the conversation.
Yeah, Tyreek isn't.
No,
he might be the fastest guy in the NFL.
I don't even know if he's that.
Even if whoever it is, if it's worthy.
Yeah.
I'm still taking the track guy.
Yeah, I don't even. What was Tyreek Hill's time at the combine.
I don't know if he was invited because he was a bad boy.
Well, he probably still ran a 40 at his. Okay, 4.29.
Okay,
Which is fast.
That's crazy fast, right?
Yeah,
and he's even faster than that on his best day as a Chief. To me, as a football player.
Yeah, but if you listen to Rod Woodson talk, Rod Woodson was running that. Deion Sanders, people say ran a 4.1 something,
and Rod was considering the Olympics.
Rod was in the Olympics.
Yeah, as a hurdler.
Which
is a little different, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a bigger, stronger type of athlete than just he didn't reach 25 miles an hour hurdling hurdles.
No.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sure people will watch it, but to me, it's not even going to be close.
No.
He'll win by lengths, by a couple strides.
Prior to last year, you had John Ross ran a 4.22.
Mm-hmm.
Jerome Mathis ran a 4.26. Marquise Goodwin a 4.27. Henry Ruggs a 4.27. Tyrone Calico a 4.27. Jacoby Ford a 4.28. J.J. Nelson 4.28. Tyquan Thornton 4.28. Yamon Figures 4.30. Darius Hayward-Bade a 4.30.
So this might sound dumb, but Lyles or any Olympic track athlete, I know they don't run 40s. They run 100 meters.
Yeah, they run
like
meters,
that.
yeah.
Would he run a 4.1?
He might.
Would he run a 4.09?
He's certainly going to be in the 4.2s, probably low 4.2s. And
in a heartbeat. I mean, he's going to be better out of his stance than all those guys.
10 years into his NFL career, Tyreek Hill is probably not running that.
Like, I bet Lyles right this second would if he went to Indy with us in a couple weeks.
Would be the fastest guy there.
Yes, and would set the record for 10-yard split.
Yes.
Coming out of his stand. Nobody would be better ever in the history of – they're all football players trying to be track athletes.
They practiced at it for a month before.
He does it every day. You do it in his sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he gets out of bed in the morning, goes into the bathroom out of his track stance.
Right. He's like the Flash.
I got to go fast. I got to go now.
Right. You don't even know that he went and brushed his teeth and came back. Right. No, that's not going to be even close.
No, I don't
think
so.
Especially at his age, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No
Anyways, Matt, that's going to do it for the show this week. What a ridiculous thing to end with. But
there we go. That's our grand finale for the week, folks.
Anyways, for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site running the Justin Miller hotline and the soundboard, for Tevin Dandridge making sure our video gets out there onto YouTube. Check that out there. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.